Hello and welcome to the channel. Zach D Productions here, and I'm here for a versus video for you guys. And the two albums that we'll be talking about in this video are Black Sabbath, the self-titled debut, versus Rocka Rolla by Judas Priest. Now, I wanted to talk about these two albums in the same video because these are, of course, the debut albums from both legendary heavy metal bands, Black Sabbath and Judas Priest, two bands that are arguably heavy metal's pioneers, some of the first metal bands to ever exist, arguably. But let's first go ahead and talk about the Black Sabbath debut, since this is the one that came out first. Obviously a classic, and there's just absolutely no going wrong with this album, and I would say that this is one of the best Black Sabbath albums. And if you are someone that does prefer the Ozzy era of Sabbath, I'm sure you can agree with that as well. I know that there's many people that can agree when I say this is one of their best. I mean, there's just absolutely no going wrong with the Ozzy era of Sabbath. To me, that is the best era of Black Sabbath. But with this album, it really is fantastic. I mean, you got songs like the title track, which is basically Black Sabbath's way of saying, let there be metal. I mean, that's kind of what I take from this song. Like, this song, like, it even sounds like an introduction to the metal genre, which is, when listening to this song with that thought, it really just resonates in a different way, I think. But the song itself, it's very dark and doomy sounding, and it's got some very interesting vocal lines from Ozzy, and it's just a very cool song. You can't really go wrong with any song from this album, but a couple other favorites of mine would have to be The Wizard and Wasp, Behind the Wall of Sleep. A couple other great tracks, but yeah, this album, it's definitely a classic and a must-listen for any metalhead, really. But yeah, the Black Sabbath debut album, definitely a very strong album and a classic. Now, as for the Judas Priest debut, Rocka Rolla, I will say that this is not one of the better Judas Priest albums. I know a lot of people kind of give this album some heat, I guess. Now, in my personal opinion, I don't think that the album is as bad as some people say it is, because I know that, you know, in some people's rankings when it comes to the Judas Priest albums, there's some people that say that this was one of their weakest, if not their weakest. It's definitely not one of their best. I definitely agree that it's not one of their best, but I just don't think that the album is as bad as a lot of fans say it is. There are some very good songs on the album, I think, like One for the Road and the title track. Yeah, the title track is kind of cheesy sounding, kind of like, you could say cringe if you really wanted to go that far, but I don't know. I actually don't mind the song. It's kind of a fun song to listen to be honest. Never Satisfied is a really good song as well, but yeah. This album, it definitely has a more fun sound to it. It kind of has that, you know, fun, like, car ride sound to it, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, definitely a really good album, I'd say. Again, not one of the best albums from Judas Priest, but definitely a very good album. So, Rocka Rolla, I think it's a decent debut album from Judas Priest. So, of the two albums, Black Sabbath and Rocka Rolla, which of the two albums would I say is the better of the two? Which is the winner of this video? Well, I think you already know my answer. I would have to go with the Black Sabbath debut album. Obviously, because this album is, I just think it's just much stronger, and the songwriting is better. And of course, you can't go wrong with, you know, how much this album has impacted not just metal, but music in general. And it is, again, arguably the first heavy metal record to ever exist. And don't get me wrong, Rocka Rolla by Judas Priest, it definitely has some very good songs. But for me, Black Sabbath is the winner of this video. So there you have it. That is my versus video. Let me know what you guys think. Which album do you prefer? the self-titled Black Sabbath album, or Rocka Rolla by Judas Priest. Feel free to let me know. Obviously, both great bands, and if you wanted to choose one over the other, that's fine, of course. If your opinion's different than mine, that's totally fine with me, of course. I think both these albums are very good, but I just think that one of them is much stronger, of course. But nonetheless, let me know what you guys think. So with that being said, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day and take care.